Hi guys, time to dip back into the shadows with Shadowlands 4. Started at the top last time, so let's go down to the bottom. Start with Gaichu. Hello, Gaichu. What's up, homie? Let's put these glasses on. I now properly woke up. As you can see, I've put a shirt on instead of just throwing my hoodie on, so that's something. The cabin is in far better state than it was previously. The heat has been adjusted down and the ventilation restored. The boxes of junk and parts have been stacked and neatly arranged, and Gaichu's small amount of personal gear is tucked away in a corner. There is a small mat in the centre of the cabin that looks like it doubles as both a rug and a sleeping pad. Gaichu is seated in the lotus position, eyes closed, his fingers resting on a braille reader that is plugged into his PDA. The device fills the room with a soft clicking from the pin combinations. As you approach, he lifts his hands from the reader's surface. Hello again, Underdog. Is there something I can assist you with? Checking your emails? We're in a book, actually. The pins press up from the reader, each syllable or character scrolling from cell to cell on the surface. It takes some practice, but once you get the knack of it, it's simple. I suppose I could have the book read to me, but I prefer reading it this way. Now, what is it that you wish to discuss? Thoughts on the last run? I confess the purpose of our little adventure in Wuxing Sky Tower eludes me. While in Japan we have a notion, Onmyodu, a method of controlling ki, it relies on spiritual and incantation to banish unruly spirits. Feng Shui, on the other hand, seems more akin to extremely fussy interior decorating. The very idea that tipping over a potted plant or moving the orientation of a desk could affect on a corporate stock price is insane. Yet as we were working I could see the flow of magic change. Perhaps this manner of luck manipulation is unique to China. Certainly work in Osaka. Is there anything else I can do for you? What were you reading? It is called Hagakure, Hidden Leaves, written by Yamamoto, I don't know. There's a treatise on what you should mean to be a samurai and how one should best serve one's lord. Require reading for the Red Samurai, unsurprisingly. Looking for hidden meaning? I have it memorized, but sometimes I found that reading the words reveals new meanings, yes. I may have left my old life behind, but old habits are the hardest to shake. The author has a central thesis. When there is a question of life or death, always choose death. Throw oneself into the fray with no resignations and act on instinct alone. My current state of affairs speaks the truth of this more robustly than any lessons in a dojo. That didn't sound too different from a life in Redmond Barrens. Truly? I've fought a few Shadowrunners in my time, and I admit they have always proven more tenacious opponents than corporate soldiers have. When you've got nothing left to lose, you're the most dangerous, and that is why I'm unconcerned with appearing dangerous. I appear dangerous because I am what is left for me to lose but my life. That dude believed that to truly embody the virtues of a samurai, adherents should be mindful of their path at all times, never stop drowning always, question how one's actions reflect on their lord. Above all, be prepared to do your duty instinctively at any time, no matter what the cost. Instinct sounds better suited to a ghoul than a man, honestly. Some might take offence at that assessment, but I am inclined to agree. I do not plan with the same efficiency as I once did, but I would not curse the tiger for relying on its instincts. Why should I make use of mine? That's a fair point. I'm glad that you feel that way. I suspect many would be worried about a ghoul choosing to embrace his instincts, given the connotations of such a choice, but I'm certain that I can maintain my sense of self regardless. What does he say about masterless samurai like you? 7 times down, 8 times up. More specifically, if a samurai has not been a Ronin at least 7 times, then he's not truly lived as a samurai. Those were different times, however. It was common for samurai to fall out of favour with their lords to be turned loose to wander. For company men like myself, the choice is serve or die. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? I want to know more about what it's like to be a ghoul. Preparing for the eventuality of killing me and collecting the bounty, make sure you leave my face intact. I would prefer to be a well-preserved trophy. Maybe I can sell your body to a herb shop, one of the stodgy traditional ones. And see now, 8,000 new yen an ounce for powdered ghoul bones, guaranteed to cure... Oh shit, fucking... Balance the flow of blood to your liver. You wish to know about what it's like to be me? Ask away. I see no reason to conceal details of my condition. Most ghouls smell like rat meat, why don't you? Diet and cleanliness. Most ghouls eat only rotting flesh and do not bathe. I eat fresh meat and bathe regularly. Are you immortal? I have no idea. I do not believe that there have been any organised studies of ghoul longevity. Most strains of the human metahuman vampiric virus, there we go, that's what it stands for, impart a semblance of extended life, but I do not believe that the Krieger strain is one. Krieger's the human strain. Somehow I think it's more likely that I will die in combat than of old age, no matter how long I live. Might be interesting to ask a doctor. To what end? I live by the sword and I will die by it. I have no illusions about my chances of growing old. How would I live out my days? In a rural country village, eating people who happen to expire on nearby roads? That will not be my fate. So you eat people, what's that like? What's it like to eat anything else? Or for a diabetic to take insulin, it's like that, a fact of life. I found that most people are revolted by the concept of eating flesh of humans rather than the act itself. Taken in isolation of social concerns, humans are no more or less edible than most mammals. The flesh can be of poor or high quality depending on the factors that would expect, diet, lifestyle, etc. I prefer to prepare my meals as I would, I don't know what that is, like garnish and flavouring, but with an emphasis on the taste of the base meat. Do I enjoy it? No, not especially. Some Japanese are fond of pork and chicken, but I have never been one of them. But it is a fact that I must accept. And if this is how things will be, I will make the best of it. You feel bad about having to eat people? No. But I was never a vegetarian, so why should I? It does not matter where the meat comes from. Someone who died in a car accident is viable as someone I kill. I admit I have eaten people that I have killed, but that was of necessity. I was going to kill them anyway, why let their bodies go to waste? Let's talk about something else. Talking about your father bailing you out of jail. Ah yes, I do recall asking about that. Is something the matter? No, everything is fine. I'll tell you what you wish to know. I simply have not spoken to my family in a long time. Bad memories? No, quite good ones actually. I haven't seen Yashijuri for many years, but that is my fault. We may not have seen eye to eye when I was young, but we came to an understanding eventually. Yashijuri gave me an ultimatum after a run-in with the Shiawashi security. He told me he had to cut a backroom deal with the rival in Shiawashi to keep me out of prison. The charges would be suspended if I finished high school and studied at Kyoto University with the intent of joining Ranraku. If I did not, Shiawashi would take me into custody and I would spend time in prison. Typical corporate politics where the rich protecting each other. That is one perspective. I prefer to think of it as a man protecting the son that he loved because his son was stupid and thoughtless. This was the act of a man harming his company to protect his family. I do not think it is a common quality in these times. I've always taken my family for granted, raised in Ranraku family, going to Ranraku schools. I had a sense of place, a belonging where I was. The thought of all that vanished, I could simply not imagine it. Suddenly, the reality of my actions became clear. From then on, I tried to be the son he wanted, and he seemed glad of this. We grew closer over the next few years. He took time to visit me when I was living in Kyoto. Kyoto? I don't know. Why would that be unusual? He was a very busy man in those days, a lot of responsibilities and very little time for himself. I was impressed that he could carve off as much time as he did, just to go camping with his son. Camping doesn't seem like a very Japanese pastime. It is more popular than you would think. There is less open physical space in Japan than in North American nations, but most of Japan is underdeveloped. The steep mountains and valleys make construction outside of flatlands prohibitively expensive, and the area of Kyoto is protected from development. We made several trips to the area between Kyoto and Naro, the village of Ide, I don't know. Ide, I guess. We camped in the mountains above it. We would hunt wild deer and boar, and using my family's antique arquebus. That's a strange choice of weapon. It's a choice of expediency. It's near impossible for a private citizen to own a firearm in Japan. It's why you so often read of Yakuza attacks involving swords and cleavers. As the Tanigashima that my family owns is from the 18th century, it is exempt from ordinary regulations. Perhaps ironically, hunting with my father is how I learned to prepare raw meat. Strange to think that this has inadvertently prepared me for my current state of affairs. So how do you prepare it? Soak the meat in brine water and simmer it to a low heat for several hours. Let it cool. Repeat the process over several days. It cannot get too hot or I am unable to eat it. The process brings out the collagen in the meat. When it's done, I spice it with ginger and sansho pepper. Again, not too much. Monday food is something. Those were good days. I'm sorry I couldn't go back to those times. When one joins the Red Samurai, one must give up all attachments to one's previous life. The company, the code, and the unit become the entirety of your world. That's an incredible amount of focus. It is. It's why the selection process is so rigorous, and so many fail. There's no shaming failing. Simply being allowed to participate in the test is a mark of excellence. Applicants must be human, Japanese, and utterly devoted to Renraku. Your unit becomes your family, your commander is your father and mother, and your teammates your siblings. Red Samurai are not allowed to reveal identities and positions to anyone outside of the Special Operations Group. Even if we want friends outside the unit, we could not have them. So how did you end up joining the Renraku military? Ah, fair question. Given my youthful indiscretions, are you... no, what? The Kempit... I don't know. Are the political arm of the Japanese military. Much like the commissars of the Soviet Union, they are responsible for enforcing political and social orthodoxy. Orthodoxy? There we go. This is not just within the army, mind you. There is enforce certain laws and regards to general populace. When I was enrolled in Kyoto University, I studied global security and political science. It is major generally used as a gateway to private security postings with both government and corporate militaries. I knew I wanted to fight. I was a young man and my blood was always up. One of the requirements that the students joined the Youth Brigade thingamabob. The Youth Brigade is a bit like the ROTC in North America, the Young Falcons in the Seo Nation, or the District Officer Program in the Republic of Korea. Members learn to be soldiers without actually joining an army. They perform community service and promote civic pride. Performance and prestige in the thingamabob used to be later jobs opportunities, a bit like good internship. Seems like the kind of thing Renraku will look favourably on. When I was in school, the mega corporations looked favourably on youth brigade service. At the time, interests of the Emperor and the corporations were aligned. A grand drive to return Japanese industry to the forefront of the world economy. Good marks from your youth brigade officer were a sure sign that you would be offered a good position from the corporate security, and I wanted to be the best. These days, mega corporations have begun to resist the kind of nationalism in favour of corporate pride. Youth brigade service is becoming a black mark rather than a positive. I do not know if the alternative is any better either. When I was nearing graduation, I was approached by a recruiter for Renraku Security. She told me I came from a good family and could have a promising career with the company. She offered to fast-track my application towards a potential Red Samurai position. 3 years with Renraku military as a junior officer, and guaranteed placement in a Red Samurai training billet of my choosing. The pay was good and the excitement of being an elite was an attractive proposition. I accepted, but I did not truly understand what I was signing up for. As I told you before, the force you give up to everything except the company and the unit. That was made clear to me, but I did not truly understand it. So what happened? Exactly what you would expect happened. I signed the contract and became a soldier in Renraku's army. I was physically fit, on top of the class, and seemed inevitable that I would see my desires fulfilled. Obviously, I succeeded. The training was extremely difficult, both mentally and physically. I know that I would be isolated from my whole life, but I did not anticipate the full extent of that isolation. All Red Samurai recruits report to a facility called the Forge in Chiba. Chiba. You're assigned a unit, you and 4 other recruits, and for the next 2 years, the Forge will be your home and prison. It seems ridiculous in retrospect. We were all so young, none of us had any idea what we were doing, except trying to become the best soldiers in the world, and yet those strangers became my new family, in the absence of the old. That chapter in my life is over and done, and they are no longer part of my world. Why would you care about all that? If they're still hunting you, I need to know about them. Very well, that is a fair point. When I was younger, I would have readily cut off my fingers than tell you what you ask. You must understand that secrecy is absolute among the Red Samurai. Your identity becomes secret, erased from any database you might be connected to the Red Samurai. Use only your code name when in the field, and given name is known only to your commanders and your unit. Even other Red Samurai units have no idea who you really are. Contact with the outside world is cut off immediately. Even once training is over, your communications are restricted. Maintaining relationships outside of your work was frowned upon. Sounds like a lot of stress. What if they can't take it? Very few recruits get to the point if they cannot handle it. We all underwent stringent psychological tests prior to that point. If a recruit cannot handle it and he and the rest of his unit have failed out of the program, The rationale is simple: if one member cannot take the training and his unit cannot carry him through, they have all failed. Ishido was our commander. He came from a rich family in somewhere. The kind of family where he was given any advantage possible, with the expectation he could keep the family name prestigious. He was older than the rest of us, as he'd already spent 6 years in the army, a very severe man, rarely given to humour. Takagawa was usually the second in command. As our designated marksman, he tended to have a better tactical view of how an operation should be run, simply because he needed to study the terrain more. He loved to get us laughing. Without him, I think we would have gone crazy in the first few months. Our maid's name was Sasaki. She had been training as a Miko, an apprentice priestess, when her magic began to manifest. She was in the unit for the challenge and for the money. Her family had always been poor, and they had always told her she would never amount to anything. I think she'd joined the Red Samurai just to prove to them that she could do anything she wanted. It's my kind of attitude. I'm unsurprised to hear it. You and Sasaki share similar attitudes. Neither of you stops to consider if your goals are attainable, you simply know that they are. Our heavy gunner's name was Aomori. He kept the team honest with itself. He never had a disparaging word for anyone, but would not hesitate to call someone out for their behaviour. Sasaki loved it about him, really, she loved all of him. The two were discreet, but discretion only goes so far in a small team. Still, we respected the privacy where possible. Is that kind of thing allowed? The unit commander allows it, yes. We were given incredibly wide leeway in what we were allowed or forbid in our unit, the belief being the results were the only thing that mattered. If the unit failed, it would fail as a whole. Sasaki and Aomori were crazy about each other. It would have done more harm to keep them apart. Lastly, there was me. I was close quarters and breaching expert. The first man in the door when we had to clear a room. I was the perfectionist on the team. Aomori could get us to do anything, but I was the one who made certain we did it well, with style. How do you mean? If the thing is worth doing, it is worth doing well. If that thing is also your duty, it's worth doing perfectly. Many times we would perform a drill or exercise well enough, but that was not good enough, if I had to trust my life to it. This is why we became one of the best teams in the organisation's history. It's a thing to be proud of. Of course it is. Do you think I do not know that? I apologise, it's just feelings still raw sometimes. Even if I were cured, I could never go back. They have been disgraced, and I have done unforgivable things. I've been cast out for good. Maybe it's not as final as you think. When they ambushed me in Fukuoka, it was a fight or die. I killed 2 of them before I escaped. I will not be returned to the unit no matter what. It's not an easy memory to grapple with. That's fine, Gaichi. Take your time. Thank you, Underdog. I'm sorry I cannot talk about it now, but I need to process the emotions. They are still raw. I'm tired. Come back later and we can talk more. Okay. It's Dr. Ractor. So, poems. Please, my friend, not now. We really must be readying ourselves to run on Ares Asia Holdings. I cannot and will not rest until my research is... Okay, the guy wants to go... So I guess we'll do that next. Get that laser! Talk to Duncan Wu. Probably gonna be a bitch. That's why you don't go on the team. Good to see you, now leave me alone. I got stuff to think about. What did you think of the last run? Wasn't there. You kept me on the bench. You thinking about getting chromed up with Cyber? I keep asking until you show me some chrome. This isn't gonna happen, Amelia. I mean, I told you one time I was thinking about it when I was 13. Let it go. You never know. I just thought you might go for it. Oh, Wu. You're so boring. You kept me on the bench. Isabel, are you in the Matrix? God damn it, Isabel. Don't give a shit about you, Isabel. Not as white hot a hacker as me. Gobbit. Hey again, what's up? Any thoughts on our last run? It's always surprised me how much corporations will pay to screw up the competitors' feng shui. Hell, they'll even take each other to court over architecture that blocks key. It has real impact though. A little shift here and there might not seem like much, but even fractions of a penny lost on the stock value is millions. I could see us change the flow key in that building, but I still have no idea how to make it work for me. Need a real specialist for that, like a Taoist priest or something. Based on what I can see though, I think Wuxing's fortunes will wane at least for the time being. They'll fix what we broke eventually, but until then, there may be a rash of stubbed toes. Now that I've broken the ice, are you certain that Sibilance and the rest of the Mako team are dead? They weren't with me when I got evacuated from the rest of the moviegoers. Never saw them leave the building, and I haven't heard from them since. I guess it's possibly they made it out, but I don't really run in those circles anymore. Odds are good that if anyone from the Mako team did survive, they'll have died off by now from sheer incompetence. Shadow running is an unforgiving business. You don't get to make too many mistakes. Did any of the stuff in the story actually happen, or did you just make it up for my benefit? Underdog, I'm hurt. It all went down exactly like I said. Well, except for a couple of embellishments here and there. But they make it a better story. Artistic license and all that. Hate to break it to you, kiddo, but I'm beat. It's been a long day. Lesson's over for now. We'll pick it up back next time. Alright, got it. I'll catch you next time. Yeah, sounds good. I'll have the next lesson ready and waiting too. Scurry along now. You're meant to need to have rest. God, it's so cool. Now to check the interwebs. I think I stole some payday data. Shadowlands. Post payday data for sale. There we go. Looking for Decker. Lung for experienced Decker for a discreet milk run on a low-level corporate lab. Potential for a longer-term engagement. We're a team that's been together for years, running your basic heists and occasional transport gigs. I'm sure. You must not take experimental stims during runs. You must have a good sense of humour. Haven't I read this before? When you just looking for a Decker a little while back, I saw your ad, but I was wrapped up in one-time run with an old partner who's moving away. I'd be interested in the meeting. Isn't Muffin Top Ninja your phys ad? Did someone call my name? Hi MTN. Long time no beer. We gotta catch up, Sensei. Bring me on as your Decker. I guess the kid who answered your last ad didn't work out. That's an understatement. I think we can count on you to not consume any drugs during runs. More specifically, drugs that were part of the payload. Fatal experimental drugs that were part of the payload. Ouch. That's not even a rookie error, it's just lack of common sense. A real shame, that. Anyway, I'm glad you're on board runs. We're not going to have a problem with you. Want to trade eyes? We'll take anything. I've quite a huge supply of cutting-edge cybernetic eyes. My fence did a runner. So I've got eyes up to my eyeballs, as it were. Make me an offer. They've got the whole 9 yards. 2010 vision, camera, low light and thermographic models. One size fits all, sold in pairs. Only. Box set. Colours: brown, blue, violet, hazel, green. Green flecked with gold, chrome. And you've got to install them yourself. Trade your Ranger Arms SM3 comes with a matching briefcase. Deal. Message me. Can I swap you my old cyber eyes for a new set? Seriously, anything but that. Can I buy one blue and one brown eye? No, but you can buy 2 pairs. Sheesh. Uncle C's House of Pork! If anyone ever heard of hankering to go down to Uncle C's House of Pork in Tayo, I can only say one thing. For the love of all that's holy, don't. I've been able to leave my house in 2 days. The only reason I even post here is because the RAS override on my deck. What did you eat? Maybe you were just unlucky. All I had was some shumi and ribs. That's pretty basic and hard to mess up. Unlucky is when I got a bad orange at the market. This isn't unlucky. This is something else. This is vile gastrointestinal sorcery. Oh my god, I only ate that once. Once? I still have nightmares. I felt like I'd eaten a wasp's nest if the wasps were made of rusty razors and also on fire. I thought I was being clever by getting the pulled pork sandwich, then I ate there. Nope. Aside from basically being a pile of congealed sludge and the bread being mouldy, it was a week before I could hold down anything more solid than a I don't know what a conga is. Well, you a bunch of children? Yeah, the kitchen is dirty, but I've eaten there dozens of times, and not once have I gotten sick. Grow up and learn to eat adult food. Wait a second, aren't you the person who raving about the food cart on the corner of Kimberley and Observatory? Told me to go there to use glazed horse tripe? Yeah, how'd you like it? Pretty good, huh? By good you mean the consistency of tar and old tyres, yes. The tripe must have been a week or more old, and I'm pretty sure I smelled rot once the initial citrus blast wore off. Take note, the user's advice on food is not to be trusted. Oh god, reading this actually got me to push past the RAS override. Now my deck is covered in vomit. Thanks guys. I mean it. Nothing I love more than being sick and disgusting. Walled City of embezzlement history. I'm going to upload another Walled City report. This one old. They just have built it. I ended up digging into the history into the place. It's archival plaintext. I really don't care. I was saying rock says on the back of the Wall City. They show Trump that in their PR. Yep, it's a brilliant piece of historical revisionism. Wall City was a huge loss of face at the time, but they rebranded the whole fiasco over the last couple of decades. Maybe their underbidding made them seem like a real sucker and brought in the contractors. Isabel, I found the fact that you posted financial articles to be charming. Why, Prism, did you just hit on Izzo? Amanita's gonna skin you. No, that's just WP. We're incapable of flirting. Would you date a woman named Amanita and then try to charm someone else on a BBS? WP is just an aggro metan with poor social filters. You two must have an interesting relationship. Let's just say we radically complement each other. Okay. Sweet. That is the Shadowlands. Shadowlands 4, so now we're going to go do some real work. Gonna go get that laser gun from Ares Asia. That's going to be fun. But before I do all that, I'm going to go sell some shit off screen. So, peace guys, catch you on the flip side.